$2.99, $3.19, $2, $5.04, $1.39, $4.59, $7.99. Please continue scanning. $3.25, $11.60, $10.99.
Trying to find the date on this bread. I always like to check that, of course, when shopping for bread. The date here is April 7th. I don't know about you guys, but at the grocery stores I shop at, it seems like they put the older, outdated bread that's getting ready to expire out in the front, and then if you dig towards the back, you can find the later date. That's really for all baked goods. This bread all here actually isn't too full. They only have 2 loaves of white bread here at this store. And this is the kind I was searching for a while back when I was going to make a club sandwich, where it's not the round top, it's just the square, regular type of bread loaf. It seems like whenever I'm actually looking for something, I can never find it. But then when I don't want it, it's there. I've also got some Martin's potato rolls. I usually put them up here on this section when I'm buying a lot of stuff. I'm just getting a few things today. That way the bread doesn't get crushed as I load the rest of the cart. So I've also got some pre-sliced honey ham. This is from the deli, but they just bag them up for like convenience. Or it could be old, I'm not sure. Whatever they do it for, but I think it's convenience probably. And the grocery store I'm at today is Wise. Now these are some eggs, of course. I always check the eggs to make sure none of them are broken. But the other day I was at the grocery store and I noticed a lady was taking out all of the broken eggs and replacing her carton with eggs from other cartons. I've never seen anybody do that before. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea, but I don't know if that's something that people do on a regular basis or not. But I always check to make sure that they are. Someone's talking about their work schedule here. I always check to make groceries that I purchased were not for me. They were for somebody else. I was just picking the groceries up for the person. So you may notice there was Pepsi in the contents of the purchases that I made. But I don't drink soda, so I just thought, for those of you that have been paying attention to the items that I drink, you might have thought that was strange that that was in my shopping cart. Also, don't eat honey buns. I do eat some of those snack cake type products from Little Debbie, or what's the other one? Tasty Cake, I guess. I think that's the only two big major snack cake brands. Some of them are good, some of them are... I can't eat fudge rounds anymore. I used to eat those when I was a little kid, but I just can't eat those. I don't think it's because they taste bad, it's just I had so many of them when I was younger. I was at a restaurant before I went to the grocery store, way up in the mountains, same area I was in when I went to the Goodwill. And there was a lady there, she was probably in her 70s maybe. And her husband were trying to get to a city that was maybe 20 minutes from where I was at. But apparently they didn't have a phone with GPS, and they didn't have a GPS that would plug into your car. That's the kind I have. Garmin GPS. So they were asking the waitress how they would get around an accident that there was a semi-truck with a hazardous material that had spilled on the route that they needed to take. And since they weren't from the area, they were trying to get back to whatever that city was that was 20 minutes away. And from there, they were going to go to Washington, D.C. The one waitress said that she wasn't very good with directions, that she really couldn't think of a route on how she could direct them back around. So she pointed them to another waitress that was working the same little dining room. And she was better with directions, she said. And she knew which way to go, but she was unfamiliar with some of the road names that she needed to tell her. So she started off telling her, but then she said, "Would you like me to write it down? Because it's going to be a lot to remember on how to get you back to where you need to go." The next thing I know, they went to the back, and this man that was like the hostess that was seating people, he comes out, and he starts telling her the directions. And that got me thinking back before people's phones had GPSs on them, and even before we had the GPS that you would have like I do in the car. You always heard people asking for directions. This is probably the first time that I've seen somebody asking someone for directions. I can't even remember the last time I have heard that. So I guess they're not the smartphone type, and maybe they don't even deal with having a GPS. They just travel the routes 2016 and 2026 in the year 2006.
$2.99. $3.19. $2. $5.04. $1.39. $4.59. $7.99. Please continue scanning. $3.25. $11.60.